Nope. I really don't want to do this, guys. I mean, my birthday was just recently. I could be enjoying myself. But, nope. Doing this story! So, let's continue with more A Dragon Fight. Chapter 30. Blackie was not a dumb diamond dog. He combined two small diamond dog tribes and ruled them for almost 3 years, during which none of them starved to death or turned on one another. Once among diamond dogs, meaning the equivalent of George Washington, Albert Einstein, and Mahatma Gandhi combined. Once they had been ignoring this, their new bosses, he quickly concluded, were idiots, morons, and insult to dragonkind everywhere. The only reason why he's even in this scene is because he actually had enough diamonds to pay for my use, but a studio, and also to pay for some extra amenities, and of course, Final Fantasy Remake. Seemed kind of obvious that sparkling ponies just wouldn't really leave the valuable stuff laying about in the street to be dug up out of the rubble. In fact, the diamond dogs had been digging about in the wreckage. He found something nothing but cheap quartz and silver stones. No, the good stuff would all be in one place. Namely, the rather large, shiny, pointy-type building in the center of the silly colored palace. Their new bosses were impatient and expected dogs to return when their arms loaded. Most likely, eat any dog who didn't. Flaky wanted his dogs to stay in their places, good races, and off their boss's menu, better take the initiative. X! He barked. We've had no gems here. Time to go to our gems. Arr! Pointing to the place. Raid the castle! Knox very quickly got the idea of set up a howl. He picked up their makeshift clubs, truncheons, spears, and set out and hoped after their leader. Blackie really hoped somehow he had left the door open. He looked up. Preferably a door to an elevator. Meanwhile, there's this whole fight with Spike and Garble and Grundle. There's a battle. At one point, he gets blinded by Grundle somehow with some sort of an attack. And quite frankly, I don't care. And then Bright Eyes proceeds to talk to him and starts controlling him and starts using his commands like a training Spike, less like a dragon and more like a giant mecha, although it would have been nice if it really was a giant mecha. And oh my god, I can't believe that I'm still doing this chapter or this story. Shiny was caught in a state of bordering both bewilderment and amazement. He couldn't make up his mind what was astonishing him more at the moment. Hmm. You mean that this guy managed to trick a bunch of people into reading a Nyx fic when all he wanted to do was write a giant dragon fight between Spike and Garble? Or the fact that we are reading an MLP fic, P standing for pony, and we're watching a dragon fight another dragon? To tell you the truth, I'm more astonished myself. Like, you watch a series about a bunch of strong women, and your first thought is, I'm gonna go write a strong dragon boy fighting dragons! Yeah! Isn't that like writing a Sailor Moon fanfic and doing the entire story based around Momo-chan? Shiny shook his head. I've been reading this like a comic book as a cult. No, comic books would be more interesting. Crazy over the top it was. Yeah, do we really, really need to do this? We have Commander Shining! A voice crackled over walkie-talkie. We have word for the S&S boys to take a look at the residue for those fried dragons left behind. We think that's something they'll power it out over. Why? Rarity already took down the others, already took down Garble. I know, but we're trying to follow the plot, sir! I copy, give me details, what do they need? That's set up. All they need is the target over forfeiture. Okay, over. Got it. Okay, police. Relay this to Case's guards and tell them to pass it on. Big guy needs to get his playmates over to forfeiture Cody. I repeat, get those dragons over there. Don't know why. And meanwhile, we continue to do that random Mythbusters gag that I know somebody out there liked. I don't. I really didn't. And Steel Hooves? Really? Oh, I'm sorry. I saw Steel Hooves. And once again, more Luna and Celestia fighting because, as we all know, it seems like every fic that wants to ignore the main six has got to have Celestia and Luna being awesome. Because heavens knows I didn't watch MLP for Twilight and the other main five. Oh, no. Forget that. I only watched My Little Pony for Celestia and Luna. I only watched it for them, hogging all the glory. I didn't care about Twilight and her own character development or Rainbow Dash and her own struggles. No. I cared about the gods. Who cares about the human story, right, boys? And meanwhile, there's more fighting and rumbling with Spike and the others that nobody cares about. And oh my god, how much longer does this chapter go along with this fight? You know, at least when I write a fight sequence, I actually write it with characters that people still care about. I really do not care about this at all. Next chapter. And meanwhile, there's a whole entire spell going on, and Twilight sends them a new spell so that way they can unite against Garble that seems overly pointless. And Cadence says everybody to unite, cast their spells as one, and to create the crystal armor of champions. And then the light faded, and Spike stood transformed, covered in head to tail in gleaming plates of crystal. And Bright Eyes was also covered in crystal. Okay. Again. Here's my problem. You want to do this story? Fine. You want to make Spike the big old hero at the expense of the main six? Fine. Those were the worst episodes of the series anyway. But to do it like this, and then to add your own little OC, where he gets to be inside the cockpit of a giant mecha dragon? That's just dumb. Now it's even less like the show. Feels even less about what I like from the series. It feels like even less that you don't even know what you're doing. So, once again, there's this fight with Garble and Spike. And I've already kind of pointed out the whole entire stupidity of that. Garble is once again roaring about how weak and pathetic the ponies are, and what type of power love is anyway, and yada yada yada. And I would love to continue to remind you guys, but this fic has actually proven Garble right. Yep, he's proven right about how the ponies are weak, because are they doing anything themselves? No, they're not. It's Spike who's saving their asses. So thus, the power of love is weak. The ponies are weak. Because it's Spike that saves them. They don't save themselves. They don't do anything on their own. It's Spike who does this. After this, they depower Garble and send them to Celestia and Luna, where they proceed to finish off the dragons. Nyx continues to fight Diamond Dogs because we all wanted to see that. Then Spike finds out that he's super special awesome and gets super powers and gets brand spanking new armor and gets the ability to be summoned by the Crystal Empire whenever they need him. Yee! And apparently the armor makes him the chosen one. Yee! And the main six gets shafted. Boom! Yep, they get shafted and Spike gets super special armor. And also gets superpowers. And now gets to be Also special and super special! Super dang awesome! Yay! Mm. And you know what? I'm going to hit the review early because I think you've already figured out my problems with this fic. But instead, I want to leave you with this little roundup. You've had a status look on your face since we got here. I know. Kind of hard to explain. One word at a time, then, Velvet said. That's how I do it when I get stuck on one to write. Did you ever feel like somebody means you have background punning in your own story? No, really. Like, you're reading the story, right? You start out the first chapter or two, you think, oh, this story's all about this character. The peasant followed the cottage. You go along, it's somewhere in the middle, suddenly it's not anymore. It's all about the lovely princess in the tower, or the wandering knight, or the peasant cult. It's disappointing in the background for the rest of the story. I feel kind of like that. Like I'm the peasant pony and the writer just forgot all about me, got off and did something else. Oh, I know what you mean. Sometimes when I'm writing a story in one of my series, the story will change and suddenly the important characters and the unimportant characters will all switch places. And if it goes on long enough, sometimes I'll get letters from readers asking what happened to Lady Elegance. That this story was about her. Well, yeah, her since book 3. But what's making you feel like that, Nix?
But also your brother?
No. Well, like when we first got here, Mom and me, I mean, everything just kept happening. Stuff happening. I don't know. Felt like something big and important was going to happen to me. Instead, it all happened to Spike.
So you're a bit jealous then? You got passed up?
Yes! Being important doesn't always mean good, said Sir Rifle scornfully. Any smack in the mushbite jacket? No, thank you. More like, more like came all this way and something was supposed to happen. I was supposed to make something happen and I never did.
I see. Chloe feels the same way.
You do?
After all, it's usually her friends out there being the evil monsters and things. This time she spent a climactic battle down in a hole, wanting it happen to somebody else.
Yeah, and it pisses me off!
Sorry, Armor, how many times does he have to sit on the bench while the big heroes were taking a swing? Happens to the best of us, Sprout.
There's a little wrap up at the end with Garble and more pounding of Diamond Tiara and whatever, but at this point, I just don't care anymore. Review time. This fic is a lie. Pure and simple. It starts off with you thinking you're about to read an excellent story about Nyx learning to bond with her family, to get over the trials that she has been pushed through thanks to her time as Nightmare Moon, to forge a better understanding of who she is now as opposed to who she is then. This makes for great drama and great story. And heck, when it focuses on that, the story stops being bad and turns out to be decent. But then the fic does a 180 on you. It goes from being a family centric story to being a political diatribe about how the Earth ponies were brought down because of, I don't know, economics or whatever. Because they don't have magic, even though farming is a very powerful spell and not everybody can do, and being able to grow stuff perfectly is a very good spell. And then brings out the dragons. Now, normally in a story where dragons are a focus, this can be good, but this shouldn't be your focus. Now, if you wanted to tell a story about Spike becoming a big old superhero with armor and a little pony who's full of armor and all that, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. But that has to be your focus. He tries to butter this up with that little speech at the end, saying that, oh yeah, well, Twilight and her friends got shuffled to the side, Shiny got shuffled, your time will come. You'll have time to be your own hero. and then have Velvet say, yeah, I mean, occasionally when I'm writing a story, I tend to forget about background characters, and some people ask, hey, what happened to this one character? I haven't seen her since book 3. Well, that's fine if you're telling a story about an ensemble cast. There are times in Naruto where we focus on Sasuke, but that's because Sasuke's an important character. He's one of the mains. There are times when we focus on Bakugo and My Hero Academia, but Bakugo's big enough to be a main. Nyx was supposed to be the main character of this story, but we just lost her. All because of this stupid dragon fight. That was really unnecessary. And as I just said, this proves Garble right. The ponies are weak. The power of love is weak. Because it's Spike who's winning. I know what you're thinking, but there's Bright Eyes, who was an OC that was created for the story. If he didn't exist, it would still be Spike. Would it have been better if it was Rarity or Cadence? A little, but it still wouldn't be all that good. Because Nyx is not the star. She doesn't do anything. That little comparison he tries to get away with, that doesn't work. Because you didn't just tell us who the story was about. You didn't set up this whole entire plot. Now, if we focused on Spike, sure. But this was a 180. This was dropping off plot points. This was ignoring what you set out to write. You know what? Even Mikan knew better. Yeah, I said it. Even Mikan knows better than to do that. And if I can compare you unfavorably to Mikan, I think we got a problem. Well, now that I've said this, I think it's about time to get back to what y'all came here for. Listening to me to enjoy stories. And I think it's about time I spent some time in June. See you next time.